So lovely to see all of you on our first Sunday in June, which is actually a beautiful morning too, and to give up your gardening time, thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone here. If you are new to our congregation or coming back after a little bit, please feel free to stay after for coffee and conversation. And I happened to notice on the way by that there's cake, and I think Reverend Rosemary might tell us about that a little bit later. Are there any announcements? I wasn't told about any. No?
I just want to talk about cake.
Oh, well, please.
Okay, you can. Good morning, and I echo, my name is Reverend Rosemary Morrison, pronouns she, her, and I echo Karen's salutation and astonishment that you're all here in person and online, because it is really the first warm day we've had for a year or two. So I applaud you for being here. I'm going to be in the garden later on today. How about you? And finding more flowers. We have an abundance of flowers. So a couple of weeks ago, we had an installation here, and there was about 200 people in this sanctuary, and it was rocking, and it was full of youth and young adults and ministers, and I was given this stole that Yvonne made, and we did a ceremony that was kind of like getting married, and so many people did so much work. So I bought you some cake. So enjoy the cake afterwards. There's 2 tables with cake. One is gluten-y. I have celiac. So one table is gluten, and the other table has a gluten-free chocolate cake and a vegan chocolate cake, in case anyone is also dairy-free. So enjoy. There's coffee and cake and tea and lots of conversation.
One quick announcement from me. My name is Gordon Ritchie. My pronouns are he, him. There's a notice that just came out in the newsletter with regards to summer services. I'm your summer service coordinator. We are already booking up for services, which are going to be lay-led. So if there's a service that you would like to create and lead over the summer, that would be during the months of July and August, let me know.
And for anyone who has not been to a summer service before, they tend to be more informal. They don't have to follow kind of our usual structure that we have with the readings and hymns set out. They can be on a subject that you are interested in, or a hobby or passion that you have that you're keen to share with others. So you can certainly talk to Gordon or myself or Reverend Rosemary about that if you're curious. As we begin our service, I want to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 6 territory, which seems like such a gift this time of year when everything is green and there's abundance and this beautiful color all around us, and the hope that comes through everything blooming and growing and sprouting up, and that little bit of rain and these couple days of sunshine have just made everything pop. And I am so grateful for the many First Nations who have tended this land and made it possible for us to settle here and enjoy this abundance and share it with them. And I'm just kind of on the beginning stages of my reconciliation journey and learning more about their rich cultures and how much I have to learn from the First Nations who were here before us, and I'm very grateful for that journey as well. This morning we want to start our service in a little bit of a different way. We are going to have a prelude, but it's going to be a video, and it's called Each of Us is a Garden. Please enjoy. So if you're like me, that will now be stuck in your head for the next week. I'm going to invite Hope to come forward to light our chalice this morning, and as she does that, I have a reading for you called Travelers Upon the Earth by Elizabeth Strong. Enter into the communion of flowers with joyful hearts. Enter with reverent thoughts. It has taken long months beneath cold ground for these flowers to prepare their blooming. It's taken each of us lives of growth through sorrow and joy to prepare for our living now. The blooming season is short. The flowers stay only a brief time. We are travelers upon the earth, travelers through all too brief lifetimes. Therefore, let our moments be bountiful. Let us rejoice in our unique colors, aromas, and sounds. Let us celebrate together in love, that as we travel away, we take with us the memory of golden hours together among the flowers. Let's celebrate that now by singing hymn number 63, Spring Has Now Unwrapped the Flowers. The words will appear on the screen and also in the hardcover hymnal if you need one of those. As is the opportunity for every service leader, Rosemary gave me the opportunity to do a service leader reflection. And I had a hard time narrowing down what I wanted to talk about because I'm a big flower fan and have become a big gardening fan, which is still actually a surprise to me because I hated it as a kid. But I think mostly because it was foisted on me as a chore, and it mostly involved weeding, not any of the actual choosing of the plants or deciding where they would go or what I think are the fun parts. So what I did think about though is through all this thread, why do flowers have the effect on me that they do? Because every time I see one, and it's not like, they're infrequent sightings, it's just this immediate shock of joy. And it doesn't matter what kind of flower it is, whether it's, what might be termed a weed, and I read a lovely quote about that where weeds are just unloved flowers, or flowers that we haven't gotten to know yet. But whether it's a weed or something, cultivated under watchful care in a greenhouse, they're still equally beautiful, and that same feeling bubbles up. And so what I landed on for me is that flowers are kind of, to me, a mirror of what I imagine our souls to be, in that I always see hope with flowers. And to me, they are the sort of visual image of possibility. Because, if you look at a flower seed, well, for me anyways, I wouldn't be able to tell you what was going to result from that seed being put in dirt. It could be a dandelion, it could be a beautiful rose, I wouldn't know. But that mystery of what it could become, I think, is amazing. And then the persistence that flowers show. I always find it amazing when you walk along the sidewalks and you see that one little wild rose growing up through the crack in the sidewalk. And it's like, really? Like, of all the places on the earth you could be, that's what you decided, is you were going to come up through concrete and asphalt and grow there. But it's beautiful. Like, that persistence is amazing. And, that magic of waiting dormant, which I didn't appreciate for a long time. I'm not a winter fan. And Edmonton I consider too far north for me, but here I am. And so, used to kind of curse the darkness, as they say, and have that little short window of summer that I thought, why couldn't we have this all year round? But realize now how important that time of rest and darkness and recharging is, to be able to really cherish that little bit of light and blossom and color. And so I kind of project, I guess, my feelings for that onto the flowers, who are waiting under the ground or waiting under the snowfall and the darkness and the cold for their 3 or 4 months to go, ha ha. And so I love that about them. So for me, that is the magic of flowers, that I just kind of see them as that mirror of potential and possibility. I would now invite you to offer your generosity to help some others see their potential and possibility. And I'm really glad that I got to do this morning, because I thought I knew about the George Spady Society, and it turns out I really only knew this little sliver. So as I am saying this, if our ushers could take the collection, that would be great. The George Spady Society offers a continuum of support services to people with complex life circumstances associated with substance-related and concurrent disorders and homelessness. They offer a range of services, and this was the part that I didn't know about, including a supervised consumption service, medically supported detox, housing, clinical supports, supportive housing programs, which they just got a grant to open a 54-bed housing program in West Jasper, and a unique palliative care program. And that was news to me, but their palliative care program, it's okay, ushers, come on. Ushers, it's fine. Their palliative care program actually just received a federal certificate of excellence as a promising practice for considerate care and health through Canada. And so it's something that they just started, but they have a 20-bed palliative care center. And what they've seen is really amazing, that they have offered a gentle, passionate end-of-life care for people who have experienced addiction and homelessness for most of their lives. But what they've also seen is that the coming together of families, that this seems to be a hub that draws that person who may have been estranged from their family for years and all of their siblings and caregivers together, and they're able to end their lives reconnected. So I think that's amazing. So please join us in singing now, From You I Receive. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
I would like to invite you into a time of meditation, reflection, prayer, whatever it is your spirit needs on this beautiful day as we contemplate life, renewal, flowers, and beauty. I invite you to take a couple of long, deep, cleansing breaths. Make some noise. The warm wind that brings the gentle rains. As you're willing and able, I invite you to focus in on your breath as you let the gravity take hold of your body and sink you into your chair or your couch or onto the bed or the floor, wherever you happen to be, perched on your piano bench. And as you let your body relax, imagining it to be coming closer and closer to the earth. Feel your feet on the ground or your back as you lie on the floor. See if you can make your whole foot touch the floor. Kick your shoes off if you like. And as you follow your breath as it moves into your body, is there any tension? You want to wiggle into it or breathe into it. Or as we've done a few times lately, maybe give your hands a little massage. Squeeze your fingers one by one. As you continue to focus in on your breath, allowing the earth to hold you, allowing the green underneath somewhere to be your friend. I'm going to read a poem by Mary Oliver. It's actually a poem in 6 parts, and I'm going to read the first 4. And then a moment of silence and read it again. Sometimes, by Mary Oliver. Something came up out of the dark. It wasn't anything I had ever seen before. It wasn't an animal or a flower, unless it was both. Something came up out of the water, a head the size of a cat, but muddy and without ears. I don't know what God is. I don't know what death is. But I believe they have between them some fervent and necessary arrangement. Sometimes melancholy leaves me breathless. Later, I was in a field full of sunflowers. I was feeling the head of midsummer. I was thinking of the sweet electric drowse of creation. When it began to break, in the west, clouds gathered, thunderheads. In an hour, the sky was filled with them. In an hour, the sky was filled with the sweetness of rain and the blast of lightning, followed by the deep bells of thunder. Water from heavens, electricity from the source, both of them mad to create something. The lightning brighter than any flower, the thunder without a drowsy bone in its body. And number 4, instructions for living a life. Pay attention. Astonished. Tell about it. And we'll move into some silence, after which I will read this poem once more. Sometimes by Mary Oliver. Something came up out of the dark. It wasn't anything I had ever seen before. It wasn't an animal or a flower, unless it was both. Something came up out of the water, a head the size of a cat, but muddy and without ears. I don't know what God is. I don't know what death is. But I believe they have between them some fervent and necessary arrangement. Sometimes melancholy leaves me breathless. Later, I was in a field full of sunflowers. I was feeling the head of midsummer. I was thinking of the sweet electric drowse of creation when it began to break. In the west, clouds gathered, thunderheads. In an hour, the sky was filled with them. In an hour, the sky was filled with the sweetness of rain and the blast of lightning, followed by the deep bells of thunder. Water from heavens, electricity from the source, both of them mad to create something. The lightning brighter than any flower, the thunder without a drowsy bone in its body. Instructions for living a life. Pay attention. Be astonished. Tell about it. Let's move into some silence together, after which Gordon will bring us out of our silence with our meditation hymn, number 352, Find a Stillness. as is our custom, as well as many Unitarian Universalist congregations around the globe, especially in North America, we light candles of joy and concern. We light candles to bring us closer together, to show that we have something that we are caring about, whether we're happy about it or sad about it. And of course, this week we are all carrying the weight of losing David Hagel this week. And so I would like to, Karen, would you please go and light a candle for David and his Paulette and their families as they go through this tender time. And there are yet, I'm sure everyone has been asking me, there are yet no plans for a service, and we will let you know as soon as there are any. So this first candle is for David Hagel, a dear friend and member of this congregation. As we move into lighting candles for our own joys and concerns, and I'm sure many more will be lit for David this morning, I invite you, the candle stations are ready to light a candle of joy or concern on this morning, this beautiful June morning. Thank you, Gordon. That was beautiful. And Karen is going to light a final candle for all those joys and concerns, celebrations, ideas, unspoken, and sometimes still hidden from even ourselves. The reading this morning is called Taraxacum by Hewlin Jamaica Soto. I didn't know what a Taraxacum was until I picked this. I thought, that's an odd name. And then apparently it means dandelion. It is the Latin name for dandelion. And it goes like this. Even though they're edible, someone decided that dandelions are weeds. Stragglers to destroy, to uproot. But dandelions never got the memo. Never thought to care. Busy instead with dropping roots, flinging seeds, unfurling shoots, and persistent in digging in that tap root to depths of 2 or 3 average adults, end to end. The tiny yellow flower survives. You are no less resilient. Reaching down to the strength that holds you, and up to the light, out with your beauty. And you know, having sunk your effort into the cool, damp earth, that while dandelions can be clipped and fought, uninvested in anyone's opinion, they throw their sparkling futures into the wind. Tomorrow tucked into seeds and grow all the way back, strong and bowing at the very same time. It's kind of like the hose you talked about coming up through the cracks in the sidewalk. We see dandelions everywhere. Have you ever thought of dandelions in that way? That was the end of the quote, by the way. Have you ever thought about dandelions in that way? And did you know that every part of them is edible, including their tuberous roots? They are incredibly nutritious also, full of vitamins and minerals. They were introduced to North America as a rich source of food. I was in the car the other day with some colleagues, because there was a lot of ministers here a couple weeks ago, and I was driving a bunch of us around, and as we drove, the boulevards and the empty fields and some lawns were full of dandelions. One colleague of mine said, "Does anyone else besides me love the sight of a field full of dandelions?" And we all agreed that we all kind of loved that, and sad when they get mowed down. They are indeed beautiful, and I was delighted to see some dandelions made it to our flower table this morning. And so when I was a bearded dragon mom, does anybody know what a bearded dragon is? It's a lizard from Australia. I know I'm a very unlikely looking bearded dragon mom. But I've had 2, and I may end up with another one before my life is over. So I used to take my little Beardy, that's what they're called. Bearded dragons are called Beardy when they are kept as a pet. I had a little harness for her, and we would go outside when the dandelions were fresh and new, and she would jump around and was so happy, and she would eat her fill of dandelions. Indeed, they were. Dandelion leaves were indeed her favorite food. I'm not suggesting that we should all let the dandelions go to seed and turn our yards into dandelion oasis, or go out and pick the dandelion leaves and make that our daily diet. However, they are very, very good for you. And they have gotten a very bad rap. And they don't really care, do they? They just keep doing what they love to do. Growing, digging, blossoming, flinging. There's a lot to be said for a dandelion. I used to love it when my kids would go out and they'd be out and then they'd come home all sun-bleached and sweaty and been running around in their little fists full of dandelions. Children see beauty when it is presented to them. Dandelions show off. When was the last time you showed off? When was the last time you let your light shine? Dandelions are resilient. As we approach the challenges of our lives, let's be like dandelions and approach our situation from all sides. Attract helpers, bees, pollinators. Dig into our being like big tap roots, ground into our being. Try out lots of new ideas. Make a million seeds and fling them out into the universe. Grow and flourish in the nooks and crannies of your life. Dandelions are beautiful, just like you. Don't let anyone tell you that you are not beautiful, because we all are. We have beautiful bodies, we have beautiful faces, and we have beautiful minds. Dandelions do not adhere to society's ideal of beauty. Be like a dandelion and know that you are a gorgeous being. Dandelions are nutritious. May you know that you too are full of wonderful things that others can learn from. May you know that you have a lot to offer your family, your communities, and the larger world. You aren't just beautiful, you have the ability to nurture and help others grow. And so, we brought flowers and laid them on our table. Why in the world are we doing this? What does it symbolize? Who started all this? Whose idea was it in the first place? Anybody know? These are actually not rhetorical questions. We're going to have a conversation. Let's share together what we know about flower communion. Maybe we could bring the lights up just a little bit. Raise your hand in person or on Zoom if you know who created the flower celebration. Yvonne. Right. Marilyn?
In Czechoslovakia, I believe.
In Czechoslovakia, yeah. Unitarian ministers in Czechoslovakia. Anybody know their names? Norbert and Maya Chapek. Audrey knew, but I didn't see your hand.
It was up.
Oh, sorry, Audrey. And where were they from? Marilyn answered that question already. They were from Czechoslovakia.
It was called that in those days.
Yes. They were from Prague, yeah. So, both Maya and Norbert Čapek were ordained ministers. Norbert was raised in the Catholic Church, and he found that it was too strict for him, and so he ended up in the Baptist Church and was ordained as the minister in the Baptist Church. Kind of an odd kind of flip. But Baptists and Unitarians have quite a bit in common, actually. We're both congregational, we both have congregational polity, and we're both more, Catholicism is very high church, like Anglican, with lots of ritual, and Baptists are very low ritual. They don't have a whole lot of ritual. So in my mind, I wonder if, because Norbert Čapek was a Catholic, if he didn't miss some of those rituals, some of those things in his life. So even though he went from being a Catholic and then he became a Baptist minister, but as he went on, he became more and more liberal. And he started speaking out against, he was born after, this was after the First World War, and as at the rise of Nazism, and he began to speak out against Nazism. And he was interred in, I always get it mixed up, intern and inter. He ended up in Dachau. I'll just let that word go. He ended up in Dachau, where he was killed. But in Dachau, he also did a flower communion. So his idea, he thought about the flower communion as he was just kind of strolling around Czechoslovakia, thinking about what he could do and thinking about the flowers, and they were just popping up all over the place. And he was like, you know what? The flowers in the yards and in the gardens and the boulevards and the fields, they're kind of like people, aren't they? No two alike. We all have a chance to grow and flourish. And so he decided, he created the flower communion out of that idea, out of that walk, where he was like, as ministers often do, it's like, what in the world am I going to do this Sunday? What am I going to talk to the people about? And so he went, I know, I don't have to write a sermon. I'm going to do a flower communion. So in 1923, he actually developed the flower communion, the flower ceremony. He didn't like to call it communion. I think that might have harkened back to his Catholic days, when communion, Eucharist, was something that he had given up and no longer believed in. And he was arrested in 1942, and he was accused of listening to foreign broadcasts, and that's what sent him to the concentration camp. But Maya, his wife, was in New Jersey and had settled there, and she is the one that actually took the flower communion idea, the flower celebration idea, and brought it to North America. It wasn't Norbert, it was his wife Maya, who was also an ordained minister, but she was ordained in the Unitarian Universalist Church. And so we are here not so much to talk about what happened then, but to think about ourselves as being rich and unique and full of beauty and full of individualism, as in we are all so different, and we have all brought, so many people have brought flowers. I have never seen such abundance of beauty and glory. And so in a moment we're going to line up and make sure that we don't take the same flower that we brought. And one of the things that I have seen in flower communions or celebrations is when the first person maybe chooses a flower for themselves, but you can also choose a flower for someone else. There's lots of flowers. There's probably enough flowers for people to have two. So you can choose the flower for the person behind you as well, if you wanted to. That's kind of a nice way to connect. You don't have to. It's just a suggestion. I invite you to think about your personal uniqueness and what you bring, what beauty you bring to the world, how you let your light shine. And above all, how do you feel about yourself when you think about dandelions and how we kind of take them for granted and try to kill them as hard as we possibly can? Think about yourselves, your own self, and how beautiful you are and how much you have to offer. As we go through this celebration, this ceremony of beauty, of renewal, of community, this brings us together. Joy and love. I invite you now. Maybe just line up on this side, I think. Yes, starting with Andrew. And maybe, go along behind so the people online can see you. Each and every one of us is symbolized by a flower. The flowers connected in a bunch of flowers symbolize siblings, our sense of belonging. The manner in which we picked our flowers and brought them with us symbolizes free will and freedom. We have brought flowers, we have taken flowers, we will take flowers home, and there's lots left, so make sure that you take a few more with you. Thank you. I was given a flower. I appreciate it. And while I am thinking about it, so I see there's a few new faces, and this is a bit of a awkward interjection into the end of this sermon message part, but I wanted to make sure I said this. I see some new folks, and there's been some new folks coming. I wanted to make sure that that you know that we're having a new or newish to you session next Sunday after church in the boardroom, and I'm going to bring pizza. So, but you can't all come. So, like if you're already a member and you've been here for 30 years, you can't just come for the pizza. But if you would like to come to this and maybe say a few things, maybe if you're an expert on the history or for stewardship or something, come and see me. We'd like to have some speakers come to the New to You session. So I do have some ideas of who I would like to have come to those, so I'd be really nicer if you just came and told me you wanted to come and talk. So we end this part of our service with a song by David Mallet that was recorded by John Denver and the Muppets. So, the Garden Song. Please rise in body or in spirit.
I have some closing words. While I read these, I'd ask Hope to come back and extinguish our chalice. After this, Reverend Rosemary will offer a benediction, then we'll sing our closing song. These words are from Reverend Norbert Chapek. Infinite Spirit of life, we ask for blessing on these messengers of fellowship and love. May they remind us amid diversities of knowledge and of gifts to be one in love, desire and affection, and devotion to thy holy will. May they also remind us of the value of comradeship, of doing and sharing alike. May we cherish friendship as one of the most precious gifts. May we not let awareness of another's talents discourage us or sully our relationship, but may we realize that whatever we can do, great or small, the efforts of all of us are needed to do your work in this world.
There we go. Sorry. You heard me, though. You started smelling your flowers. So before we go, let's just take a moment and enjoy the beauty of the aroma and the beauty that we are with each other here, creating this community, this beautiful community that we can't do without your uniqueness and your wants and your thoughts and what you want to learn and how you want to be. We can only do it together. Just like a garden is not just a whole bunch of flowers. It is beauty made all together. And do not be dismayed by the brokenness of the world. Things can break and things can be mended, but not with time, as they say, but not with time, as they say, with intention. So go and love intentionally. And go and love extravagantly. And go and love unconditionally. For the broken world waits in darkness. For the light, the love, and above all, the absolute beauty and color that is within you. Go in peace, gentle people. Go in peace. And don't forget, there's cake. Let's sing our linking song, Carry the Flame.
First